Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, February 27th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First 2 cards coming through today are, we have here, it's Queen of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our 2 of Pentacles in its upright. Welcome to 2025. I told you, a lot of the path work this year is honoring your no. A lot of the path work this year is, did I stutter? There's a lot of this. We were talking like right before the podcast started about these moments that we sometimes have. And I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised if you're experiencing this. With all this Pisces energy, there's a lot of work in recognizing that moving towards a good manifestation requires you to honor your no. Right? It's not about saying yes to everything. Half of a good manifestation is understanding and moving, like when we move in directionality to something, when we're focusing on a manifestation, we have to be in a space where we're able to recognize what feels like it's not in alignment to us, right? It's a little bit of this, like, I'm going to tell you, it's a little bit of this no thank you energy. And I gotta say, when we're in a positive space, right? When we're in a positive space, this is why we don't take another person's feeling that they've got too much on their plate personally, right? We all recognize and identify that we're moving with a lot of conviction as it relates to the things that we're trying to aspire and build upon. Healthy partnerships are ones that are articulated about clarity and directionality. But there's a lot of this energy, I got to tell you right now, with a lot of this work right now, and the major message that keeps on coming through is understanding the difference between captivation and direction, right? Like, what is captivation? Captivation is just the desire for another person's attention, right? Relationships or circumstances wherein we're just interested in, like, building into that context of being in the presence of another, there's no directionality to it, right? We want productivity. We identify what feels healthy by the sense or the space that it feels like it moves in a direction, right? And so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of this work right now that I see that is happening. And that's why I feel like if you're having those moments right now that you're looking at another person and saying, are we having the same conversation? Do we want the same things, right? Because a lot of the message that keeps on coming through, and I feel like it's going to keep on coming through more and more, like every time we go through an alignment, there's like a strong lesson that starts coming through across all of the frequencies. Last alignment that we had, the major lesson that was coming through for me in my readings was a healthy manifestation does not require one to disassociate in the journey of moving towards it. You're not going to feel less, you're going to feel more. Right? And that's why, again, when we talk about healing, we don't say we're healing. We don't say, oh, it's great, I healed, I don't feel anything. That's not healthy. In what context have you ever heard someone being like, it's great, it's gone numb? That's good, right? No, what are you talking about? Like, that's not healing. Healing is not going numb. A good healing is when you find the capacity to feel more. Right? It's taking on more. It's being able to feel more. It's feeling like that. That's why we say activation. We feel that we have that ability of experiencing and making room for what we feel in healthy, positive ways. Now, I keep on seeing that there's something really important here that's occurring as it relates to, I keep on seeing like someone having a conversation with someone and almost feeling those moments being like, you are missing the point. The point has gone over your head, out the window. It's down the block 4 miles, right? Like having those moments can often feel like someone who has not understood something, right? And it's a lot of that you don't understand the assignment kind of energy. It's a lot of that work of being like, how do I break this down? How do I find help me communicate? And we talk about this a lot with love, right? Like when we care about someone, we find patience, man. When we can find patience within us that we never knew existed, right? Like we can find that patience, like we can find that reserve of patience that exists. But here's the thing, and Spirit's clear about this. We are patient. We find reserves of patience when we recognize someone that is trying to understand a lesson, right? And that's why I'm almost seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, like working through that context, navigating some of those moments, identifying, and I keep on seeing there's a lot of work that's being done right now, and it has to do with partnership, and it has to do, and not just partnership, I'm seeing even now, not just partnership as it relates to relationship, as it relates to intimacy, but even outside of the self, like even as it relates to just all of relationality as a whole, identifying what feels energetically productive versus what feels, I'm getting like willfully obtuse is the best word to describe. Willfully obtuse to a certain extent, right? There's a lot of that work and it has to do with identifying what one's energetic priority is, right? Like when we are in alignment with someone, we almost have those moments that we say like, you get it. We're on the same page. You understand the frustration. You're working through the energetic hurdles. But that's why I keep on seeing that there's like, it's interesting because I got to tell you a little bit of like, a little bit of this Aries going direct. It feels like cutting off energy. But it feels like, and I got to point this out, it feels like cutting off energy from a place of compassion as it relates to looking at a circumstance or situation and identifying what feels like it is productive, right? The conversations, the arguments, the work we do with one another that feels like it is, you can see pathwork of progress, right? Something is improving, something is changing versus what feels like, I'm getting like what feels like tennis, right? It feels like, it doesn't feel like you're making it doesn't feel like you're going anywhere. You're just bringing something back and forth, right? Like the difference between expansion and frustration is working in that context of understanding something with more clarity, right? Improving. And I feel like, again, there's a lot of work right now as it relates. And that's why I can see a lot of this hurry up energy. A lot of energy right now focused on honing craft, perfecting the self, perfecting work. And that's why I'm saying even now, we've got a Venus. I'm not surprised to see it. We've got a Venus in retrograde. So this is energy that's starting to get hard on the self, right? And that's why you might be feeling like you're like, if you're getting mad at yourself, you're like, I wish I could learn better. Yeah, we got Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde coming up. And that's why I keep on saying, don't be hard on yourself right now. Remember, you are a work in progress. And a lot of that work and identifying what feels like it's productive right now versus what feels like someone kind of entering that space of captivation, right? We talked a lot about that difference between relationships, right? The healthy relationship that is built upon trajectory, right? And that doesn't mean that we build in pathwork of ambition, right? It means that we want the same things. We're on the same journey, right? All intention, no expectation. We build together in a space of aspiring for the same things, and we love watching the unfolding of each other on that journey. And a lot of energy healing from those relationships that feel like they are the opposite, the unhealthy relationship. And this is what we talk about. Like, you guys, we talk a lot about narcissism, but we don't talk about the myth of Narcissus. The myth of Narcissus is someone that stares into a well. They're looking at their own reflection. It's about a relationship that is only built on attention, on captivation, right? It doesn't give clarity on where it's going. It's not a relationship, a ship that takes you somewhere. It's a captivation force that says, look at me. I desire your attention, right? And that sense of that recognition point is what is allowing energy to heal right now as it relates to the direction that they're moving going forward. And that's happening for both masculine and feminine energy right now. Not bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. There's a lot of this energy right now that is recognizing the difference between having a lot of feelings for someone versus getting a lot of clarity from someone. You can have a lot of feelings for someone who doesn't give you a lot of clarity. In fact, sometimes when someone doesn't give you a lot of clarity, you get more feelings because some of those feelings are confusion. Some of those feelings are anger. Some of those feelings are hostility. And I see a lot of this energy saying they're getting the ick because they're like, I don't find that expansion of confusing feelings romantic. I just consider it wrong, right? And that's why I keep on seeing. I feel like a lot of energy is reassessing what they consider romance to be, because they're the energy that's saying confusion isn't romance. Confusion is not romantic. It's just confusing. It's just unhealthy, right? Like this is the energy saying, I'm not going to confuse romance with trauma, because we've identified the fact that trauma, the identification of trauma, is pain that makes no sense. Trauma is senseless pain. And the things that confuse us often captivate us because we're trying to understand what the heck is happening. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, there's a lot of this work that we're seeing as we navigate coming into divine union that is articulating upon the recognition of the difference. I keep on seeing that this is energy that is coming into divine union that is suddenly building into an awakening, but their awakening is the recognition between the difference between romance and trauma, right? If this is the energy that used to find something energetically romantic, but now they're experiencing something that feels healthy. This is energy that says, make no mistake, I can tell the difference between something that nourishes me and something that makes me sick, right? Like I can tell the difference between something that feels like it's healing versus something that feels like it takes from me. And for a lot of that energy, that ability of recognizing it, it's why the energy is very much in Libra. And that's why I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy is finding, and it's interesting about it, they're saying they're finding space to hold an apology. Why is the energy coming into divine union? Finding space to hold an apology. Because this energy is mindful. They understand, like this is the energy that understands that when we come towards someone with an apology, that sometimes that's more about us feeling good, something that makes us feel better. But when we have a true apology, we're not mindful about whether it feels like it's good for us. We think about whether the apology would be feeling like that for the other person. And I keep on seeing that a little bit of this energy coming into divine union is in a quandary as it relates to trying to find a place to hold an apology, because they're saying to themselves, should the day ever come that I have the opportunity? Why is the energy saying, should the day ever come that I have the opportunity? Because the energy is saying, I'm not going to go to someone that I created trauma with and create further trauma by trying to bring an apology to them that could then open a wound, right? There's a lot of that sensitivity I see that's happening right now. The profound recognition of healing is sometimes the ability to hold an apology within the self. And that's why I see even now, if there's a lot of dreams that are happening right now in the karmic space, if you're having a lot of dreams where someone's coming back to you, this could be why, right? This could be a little like sometimes when we can't give someone the tangible apology for reasons like this, they start showing up in our dream space. Right? It's a testing ground, especially with like Pluto, and I keep doing that, Pluto and Aquarius. Now for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, a lot of this work deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that this is the energy, like I said, it's Renaissance energy. That's everything I keep hearing about it. And why is because the energy is going, we need new words. We need new language. I'm looking in the book. I can't find a way to describe how I'm feeling. And sometimes when we reach that level of healing, and I got to tell you right now, with all this Pisces energy, working through unprecedented feelings, working through energetic complications, that sense of innovation is saying, nothing I'm finding is suiting this. It's time to think of something new. So there may be a lot of energy right now, deep within divine union, having productive breakthroughs as it relates to communication, healing wounds of intimacy, and language. The center card in our 5-card spread for today is Oh, wow. World card in its reversal. And that is very cool because if you go and look at the Substack picture that is posted that shows you yesterday's spread, if this card looks familiar, it is the card that we ended our reading with yesterday. So, and it's in, again, there's a lot of cards in this deck. It's the same card and it's in the same direction. And it's very important that the last card, okay, so I want you to look at this and think about this. The last card that we're pulling is now in the top row. So this is a continuation of yesterday's path work, right? It's literally in the same position. We're just drawing down more cards. We're drilling down on something. So there's a lot of energy right now that is like deeply investigating something. I see this energy like getting to the bottom of things, but it feels productive. Right? I see a little bit of this world card here in the reversal, but it doesn't feel so much like confusing energy. Things aren't confusing when you're drilling down, right? So this is a lot of energy getting to work, working on heads down. It's a lot of this like working on assignment kind of energy. It's a lot of getting to work. It's trying to get something down or trying to understand something better. Fourth and fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 5 of Cups in its upright in combination with our Ace of Swords. Yeah, this is like, and here's the thing, there's a lot of like, I got to tell you, especially with the Queen of Wands here and the Ace of Swords and the World card in its reversal. These are reversals, but they're all, the cards in combination are about drilling down, right? It's getting down to business. It's like, I mean this, like I see a lot of this energy right now saying to others lovingly, I love you, but I don't have time for this. There's a little bit of, there's a little bit like, and there might be a little bit of, again, with Uranus and Taurus, having a little bit of that shortened patience right now. But here's the thing, like when we see someone, I need to point this out, when we're in a loving place and we see someone working on something, it's a little bit of this, like, don't interrupt me kind of energy, right? Like there's a little bit of this energy I see both for masculine and feminine. Like these energies right now, look, they're in alignment, right? But I'll tell you right now, there's giving each other, this is a love that gives each other a lot of space, right? Because like feminine is trying to hold a lot of plates. Masculine is working through some kind of like, I want to say, we're going to drill down as to what's going on with masculine here because there's a lot of, there's something very important to be recognized here as it relates to, I keep on seeing, what one can change versus what one can accept. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, there's a lot of nostalgia here that I see as it relates to masculine energy. But something that's very important about some of the masculine energy that I see here, and I keep on seeing this, like it has to do in relationality to, like I keep on hearing the energy saying to themselves, you know, regret is a gift because regret is knowledge. Like the ability of understanding and seeing something. Like it not being too hard on the self. I'll tell you, like, and here's like I want a lot of the masculine energy to be very compassionate to the self with a lot of this Venus in retrograde energy, right? Because I feel that there's something I see that's happening right now for masculine energy with like the Venus in retrograde that, you know, we care about ourselves by taking ourselves lightly, right? The compassion that we extend to others, we also have to give back to the self in the process, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Two of Pentacles and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Nine of Swords. Now, the thing I'm identifying here is, and I gotta tell you, like, there's something really important to recognize, and this is why I keep on seeing that it's like a lot of energy right now. A lot of energy right now is working through grief. Okay? But this is what we identify as it relates to grief, which is, and I need to point this out. When we're not this is going to be a continuation of the work that we saw that was occurring during the Leo full moon. When we are in a healthy space, we do not blame others for how we feel about them. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. When we are in a healthy space, we do not blame people for how we feel about them, because we understand that ultimately none of us can control. Like, I can't, if you feel something about me, right? There's nothing I can do about that. It's like I can't go into you and turn the off switch, right? We can't do that. We don't have that ability. And that's why we say, like, with all the love in our hearts, right? When we're in a healthy space from a place of compassion, we say lovingly, we say gently, we say with all empathy, and we even teach those that we're trying to rate, like, take care of. Others' feelings are not our responsibility. We don't have to be responsible. We have to be responsible for what we give forth to another. Okay? We have to be responsible about how we communicate to another. What we give forth is our responsibility. But how another feels about us, lovingly, is literally not your problem. It's not your problem. It's not your problem because you cannot control it, right? And when another person comes towards us, and this is why it feels like sometimes we have conversations with someone that feel like they enter the realm of the absurd. When someone does not recognize that, when someone's operating more from the space of the ego, they'll just come running up to us and they'll say something like, I'm mad at you, or I love you, right? Or I whatever you, right? And we look at them and we go, like, it doesn't do anything. You understand? Like, what you're really saying in that moment is, what do I do with this? Instead of saying, like, if you don't put some energy forward in saying what the impact of that is, and this is what Aries going direct, that doesn't mean anything unless it goes somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, unless it has wings, it's just singing. Like, that's what I keep getting. Unless it has wings, unless you give the emotion wings, you're just singing. You're just singing about it, right? What does it have to do? Like, what does it do? And that's the thing, that's some of the emotional complication that we're having right now between Pisces, and no offense to Pisces, because healthy Pisces understand this, right? But like working in that space, that often when we are not able to navigate our emotions, we just unload the emotions on another person. And what we realize, we fail to recognize, is when we just tell someone how we feel, but don't give any indications as to what we want to do with it, it feels like we're just divesting our emotions onto another person. Like, these are yours, take them. But it'd be like, these aren't mine. I didn't create that in you. Right? This is what we talk about. It's like we feel like we're having completely different conversations with someone, right? The healthy, and this is what we see, the healthy relationship is not one that just exists in, and like, here's the thing, when we're in a healthy relationship, then we can constantly tell each other how much we care about one another, or if we're angry, but there's directionality. There's progress forward. There's movement, because a relationship is not just built. A ship does not just hover. It doesn't just exist in the realm of emotions. It is a ship. It is relationality, relationship. It was relationality that goes somewhere, right? It's going somewhere with another person. It's got direction. It's in the name of the word. It's in the word itself. Right? And so I keep on seeing that there could be a lot of energy that's going through this process of saying, just because you have feelings for me, that's not a relationship. like feeling the expansion of emotions can feel like quicksand if it's not going anywhere, right? This is why it can feel like there's like, like that's why it feels like it's like the love that feels like a weight on us versus a love that gives us wings is the love that is built purely on someone saying, I want your attention. But I'm not telling you where I want to go with it. I'm not talking about what the dream is. There's no dream. My dream is just your energetic attention, right? Like that's not like that's it's not productive. And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy working through that, and a lot of it may have come through with that Leo full moon, right? I told you the Leo full moon was either going to bring apologies during it, right? The whispered conversation that echoes through the halls of time. Someone saying, I've got a lot of work to do. This is heavy. It's hard to carry. And the universe says, I'm right here with you every step of the way. It could also have that moment of observing, like when like it is why me versus woe is me, right? I worry I'm not strong enough to carry this, but I will carry it nonetheless. Versus like, I don't want to carry this. Why is this always happening? Like, it's a lot of that, like, that moment that we wail, but it doesn't get us anywhere, right? And I feel like there's a lot of that work. I can see a lot of energy right now, potentially healing, letting go of someone with the observation of something that did not change, right? And that is grief. Like, we grieve in those moments, right? Because we say, like, we see, like, when in that moment, we see why something isn't working. We begin to heal. For masculine and feminine coming into divine union, same thing's happening right now, but that's because of the perspective of the relationship. The ship, when you get on the ship, you get above the clouds, you're able to see something with more clarity, right? This is the energy being like, I couldn't see it back then. I wish I could have. And that's why I keep on seeing this energy saying, I've got apologies I'm carrying within me. But they're also being energetically mindful, and they're saying, I'm not going to make something messy that someone else is healing from by going back and giving an apology that would only serve the ego itself, right? And that's often why when we're in a space of healing, we've got a whole little room of apologies. We don't go running around giving them to everybody. We say, if the time ever comes, I'd love to have a conversation with that person, but I'm not going to, but when we run around giving everyone apologies, we're just making it's more about the journey of the self. We're not mindful about whether someone's receptive to it or not, right? So that's why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy making space for, like, I keep on seeing they're finding a storeroom for the apologies. Continuing to get clarification for a lot of this energy deep within divine union. You got to be frustrated before you find a new way. That's why I keep on saying, find something that anchors you right now. Don't lash out, lock in, right? Like, it's crunch time. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Pentacles in combination to our World card and its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Oh my goodness, man, we got our Ten of Swords here too. And that's what I mean. Like, it feels like there's a lot of cycles that are closing right now. But I gotta tell you, like, I know, like, some of these cycles, I keep on seeing the reason it feels productive is because it feels like something like, and I got to point this out, like it's Nine of Swords with 10 of Swords type of energy, and that's what I meant. Like, there's something really important that's coming through in the space of saying, did I stutter? Right? And sometimes those moments, like, I got to tell you, there may be something that's happening right now for some of the energy in separation. Something coming back. And sometimes I'll tell you right now, this is often what happens. When we say we want someone back, we don't want something back often that we're healing from. What we really want is we want progress. We want to see change, right? Like, we're hoping that there's something that happens in the space intervening that gives us reason to understand what can, like, again, the difference between a habit and a lesson is progress, right? And I keep on seeing that there's something really valuable and important that's occurring right now between what feels like it is productive, right? Which feels like it is like appreciating how far one has come, appreciating how far one has changed, seeing progress that recognizes that something has in fact changed. But I see a lot of this energy. If there's a moment here where it doesn't feel like something changes, if someone's like, I see a cycle, it feels like something that is returning back in the same way that it left. This is why I see a lot of this energy going, it's like, right? It's like, it reaffirms. Sometimes we see something that reaffirms why we had to move away from a situation in the first place. Right? And that's what I mean about grief. It's like, oh, like you get like re-triggered because you feel like it came back, but it didn't fix it. It just reaffirms how frustrating. Like it doesn't feel like it just frustrates you in that moment because you get like, first you mourn and then you get mad, right? Like first you mourn and then you get mad. First, like, this is the energy going, I don't want to have to grieve again. Like, that's the energy. And that's what I mean. And this is why, do you see why some of the energy coming into divine union, going through this same lesson, going, I'm not bringing that person an apology, even if I owe them one, because I don't want to open that wound. I don't want to make them grieve again. That often when someone comes towards us with an apology, it doesn't provide closure. It opens something back up. And that's why I keep on seeing that this is energy that's getting very stoic as it relates to the apologies they're carrying. Because they're like, I see them like keeping the list and saying, should the day ever come that I can extend that olive branch, I will. But I'm not going to go chasing them down and whacking them on the head with it. That's the thing with olive branches. You extend them when the opportunity presents itself. You don't go running around being like, accept my apology. like you don't wax them with the olive branch. You extend it when they're there. I've been carrying this for you here, right? While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy deep within divine union, this is the energy whacking themselves on the head. Because I'm telling you, this is the energy is like how do I, like, they're working actively on doing something in a different way, but they're being very mindful in the process, right? Like, there's a lot of this energy. I keep on seeing, I keep on hearing this from the energy deep within divine union. And what's beautiful about it is I see a lot of this energy that's almost, they're apologizing for their own trauma. Like, that's where some of this Venus in retrograde is coming through. Like, I see this energy being like, I'm sorry I'm like this. And the energy goes, you have nothing to apologize for. I understand the trauma that created this. I understand the trauma that created this trigger within you, right? And that's the thing. When we're mindful about our trauma, we apologize. We apologize for it, right? We get frustrated by it because sometimes, I got to point this out, sometimes the thing with trauma is you're traumatized, but you can't remove it. That's why we talk about there's a lot of work that's happening right now with Chiron, because we've got Chiron sitting right next to Venus in Aries, which is like, recognizing why you're wounded doesn't change the fact that you're wounded. Right? We're mindful of our wounds, but we also get frustrated because we're like, we can't, like, I keep on hearing the energy go, like, I can't erase that scar. I can't erase that. I can't fix it. And this is the energy says there's nothing to fix. It is a part of you. Like, that's what's beautiful about it. Like, we become the love, and this is what a lot of the work of Chiron is. The love emerges in the places that we are the most scarred, right? Like, that's the thing about it. Like, when we're really healing, like, the place that we're scarred is where the love starts. Continuing to get clarification between the World card and its reversal and, thank you, our Five of Cups and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? clarification coming through right now with a lot of this 10 of cups. Oh man, 9 of cups, man. We've got a lot of 9 energy right now. Like that's the thing. Like Renaissance energy is really heavy 9 energy. You know, it's that moment that feels like one is on the cut. Like, you know, it's spring. It's like everything's about, like, you know, it's like that moment that like everything is about to emerge. You know, it's a lot of that. And that's why it's really important. Like, that's why I keep on seeing. And I'll tell you right now. And this is why I keep on, you know, what's so wild about it is I keep on hearing a lot of this, like, there may have been, and like, as I met, okay, so this keeps coming through. The Leo full moon brought a lot of people to their knees, either spiritually, emotionally, or physically, right? It was either that moment of honoring how much, like, you come to your knees, like, in the space of honoring how far you've come. You're reverential to one's own path work. But that's why I keep on saying, if someone approached that Leo full moon in like a woe is me, I keep on hearing a lot of energy echoing out of that Leo full moon, trying to say to someone, I don't know what got into me, right? And the energy that's in a healed space is like, I do. Like the energy that's in a healed space is like, I do, you know, like, because that's the energy that says, like, and I almost feel like when someone, and I got to point this out, when we have a lot of feelings and we act out in a way that we identify as uncharacteristic, and then we say to another person, I'm sorry, I don't know what got into me. If that is a part of your character, like that's the energy that's why I feel like a lot of energy just kind of folding their arms to a certain extent, because, and this is what can be very painful, right? Like when we're in a healthy space, it's not that we're not triggered, right? Like it's not that we don't stop feeling, it's that we find effective ways to communicate through that overwhelm. We don't overreact, right? Because when we overreact, we're effectively projecting. And when we project, we create more trauma in the process. So that's why it can be really difficult when someone comes into a space of overreaction at a moment that they feel a lot of emotions, because they may not necessarily recognize that they're creating trauma. And this is why it's often characteristic that in those moments, we start putting distance away from someone, because we recognize the difference between whether someone is self-aware enough to recognize the fact that they're in an energetic pattern, or whether they're forcing us to experience it with them, right? The observation of seeing one's own cycles. And it's not to say we have cycles. We all have cycles. We've got cycles that are productive. We get up, we eat. Like there are things that we do that I told you that fortify us, that ground us. It's not about breaking out of every cycle. There are healthy cycles, but the unhealthy cycles are the cycles that feel like they're detrimental to our experience that we do not see. And often, even in those moments, the reason we heal is like when someone tries to show them to us and we react to them, we are perpetuating the cycle. You know what I mean? Like in those moments, we've all had that moment. We're trying to say to someone like, do you see what's happening? And they say, no, it's you. And you're like, oh, dear God, right? Because even in that moment, you can't get through to them, right? Because when we're too energetically invested in the egoic cycle, right? When we get too locked in our own mythology, because that's what happens. The ego likes to build mythology. The ego likes to build a little story of what is happening. And the trauma, what the ego doesn't realize is the ego is replaying the traumatic story again and again and again, right? The ego says, it's happening again, right? The ego goes, it's happening again. And everyone around them is going, it's not happening again. It's not happening again. But even the ego is going, it's happening again. You know what to do, right? Like, it gets in that space that you're like, and that's the thing. I just keep on seeing that a lot of energy right now is moving forward into new energetic partnerships. And I either see right now, I see two different modalities of energy and separation. I see the energy in separation that is either trying to that sees someone repeating a cycle towards them. And here's the thing about it. I see the energy not doing a darn thing about it. I see a lot of energy just walking away. Because again, if you try to tell someone that there's a cycle occurring and someone refuses to see it, then sometimes the only thing you can do to heal it is to give someone energetic distance, hoping that the day will come that they will recognize the fact that they are in a cycle that is not healthy, right? And that's why I keep on seeing, I hear a lot of this energy in separation saying, the hardest thing I ever had to do, the thing that was the most loving thing I ever had to do was walk away. It was my final act of love. I keep on hearing a lot of this energy go, it was my final act of love to walk away. Because it's that observation of observing and seeing something where another one person says, I know that you think that I'm doing this because I don't care about you, but in fact I'm doing it because I carry that care for you. Because I've seen something and I know it is the healthiest thing to do. While for a lot of the masculine and feminine, and I see a lot of energy potentially literally explaining and talking about that right now in a new energetic connection. I see new energetic connections that are forming by talking about the energetic complication of the situation wherein trauma occurred, right? This is how we heal. While for masculine, and this is how the energy is recognizing one another on that journey with the observation of someone, like again, weighing. I see the energy, even here as they're moving forward going, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I hope I am. Right? Like this is the energy. Do you see all of this? Like there's so much Libra energy here. Being like, I don't know what else to do. While for masculine and feminine energy, right? Coming, and I got to point this out. Typically when we're in that moment that we say, I don't know what else to do, it's usually the right thing to do. Right? Because this is the energy. I see a lot of this energy in separation. And I keep on seeing the difference between someone saying it wasn't, I can see the energy literally saying, it's not abandonment if I've tried over and over again, right? I keep on hearing the message of saying this is coming through big time right now. Abandonment, like true abandonment is when someone leaves the minute something gets hard. True abandonment is when someone leaves the minute something gets hard. If one is going through something and one works and works and works until finally one has to drag oneself away because there's nothing else that one can do, the guides are always clear on this. That's not abandonment. That's self-preservation. That's not abandonment. That's self-preservation. Don't get it twisted. It's so weird. I keep on saying, and here's the thing, all this energy right now, the last 2 days, don't get it twisted is all I keep hearing. Right? And for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, I see a lot of that energy working through something and seeing this is the energy that's working through that twist, because it feels like I see the reason the energy is feeling a twist right now deep within coming into divine union is because it feels like a twist of a knife. Right? And the reason they're saying that it's a twist of a knife is because I see someone saying, I owe that person an apology. The most loving thing I'm doing is not giving it to them. Right? I see this energy saying, I want to apologize. I want to extend an apology to someone, but I won't. I'll carry that pain with me, because even in carrying the pain of the apology I owe another, I am being respectful of not causing harm. I am being respectful of utilizing discernment as it relates to an apology. And again, we talk about this. An apology that is helpful. We talked about this. An apology that's helpful. A true apology is a plan. A true apology is a plan. And this is why the energy is saying, I'm not going to go out of my way to apologize, because I don't want someone to feel that I'm going towards them with that apology and them feeling like I'm not coming towards them from a place of openness, but instead I'm not trying to create closure. I'm trying to create openness, right? There's a lot of this energy being very mindful as it relates to the ego versus what would feel good versus what would actually be good. Right? Chiron energy, physician, heal thyself. Even though something feels good for me, when we're in a space of deep healing, we don't do things because they feel good for us. We do things mindful of how others may experience it. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, this is that energy. Like I see this energy like opening their heart space. Like there's a lot of this energy that's having open, like heart to heart conversations. There's a lot of this like opening because this is a lot of the energy. I tell you, when you get frustrated, right? And when you feel like when you don't build in that force of projecting it out to others, right? When you take that force of frustration and you go inwards, you find beauty. You find language. You find parts of the self that you never knew were there. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Cups in combination with our Ace of Swords and its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the High Priestess. We've got, and I got to stress here, we've got the Queen of Wands and its reversal in combination with our High Priestess and its reversal energy. And there's something really important to be recognized and identified right now in relationality to, and I just keep on seeing this here, and I got to point this out. We've been seeing a lot of back and forth going through the cards. Okay, and I would challenge you, if you want to see this for yourself, go look at the last like week of cards. We have like masculine energy. We had heavy masculine energy yesterday. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender. Today, we've got a lot of feminine cards. So this is good because there's a lot of harmonics that are happening right now as it relates to the back and forth of the energy. But it's not surprising to see this because when one is, like when masculine is in one way, right? Feminine accommodates and adjusts, right? When the energies are working in counterpart connection, it's constantly attunement. So when we see, like today feels like more of a feminine day. Yesterday was more of a masculine day. We see a lot of the feminine energy here. Here's the thing. A lot of the feminine right now, like yesterday, we had the Knight of Pentacles in its reversal, the King of Wands in its reversal, and the Knight of Cups in its upright. So yesterday was probably a big day for masculine, going through a lot of emotion. Like masculine was very emotionally exhausted yesterday. I just see a lot of masculine energy going through what may feel like a communication blockage, having a or feeling like an internal creative blockage, like getting and starting to feel the weight of the Venus retrograde, getting hard on the self. Where's feminine coming through right now? Feminine was in the Empress energy. Right? And so here's the feminine yesterday in the Empress energy. And this is a lot of the feminine energy drilling down right now. Because again, if the feminine energy is in a space where they see the fact that the masculine is feeling overwhelmed, what is the feminine doing? Picking up the slack, right? Feminine is working in that space of not being the energetic burden to the masculine. So you see the fact that these energies are working in attunement to each other, right? Because they are being respective of what they're receiving, and then they're coming, and that's why it's Gemini energy right now, right? They're being adaptable, like I'm getting intuitively adaptable, right? Like intuitively, they're not even potentially communicating upon it. They're just moving around each other in this fashion. Because I could see a lot of energy right now that's loving each other deeply by giving each other a lot of space. Because when we recognize, again, when we're in a space of love, we don't come towards love in terms of what we want. Love is attentive as to what another needs. A lot of this energy working, coming into divine union, getting on the ship, going, I can see clearly now because I'm above the clouds of the confusing situations. That was I see that energy going, that wasn't romantic, it was confusion. I was sitting there, my head was in the clouds because this is the energy that looks at something and says, I was trying, this is a lot of the messages that are coming through in terms of looking at something in the past, being like, you cannot go into an illogical conversation and find logic. If something is not making sense, and this is the thing about it, this is often what happens when we're in traumatic situations, right? We'll stay in traumatic situations for time way longer when we're too young because we think that we just need to bring sense to it. If something's illogical, there's no sense you can bring to it that will fix it. If someone is not in a space where they're seeing something logically, like it doesn't, like logic is going to make it, you're going to feel like you're the one who's crazy because they're going to make you feel like your logic is not Like you cannot, like I keep getting the same message. You cannot fix something illogical by bringing sense to it. If something doesn't make sense, and this is the thing, sometimes we stick around going, I'm trying to make sense of it. That's usually the red flag. If something doesn't make sense, that is the sign to go. Like if something doesn't make sense, and if you've asked another person to be clear, sticking around is not always, like, healing is not trying to say I can bring a force of healing to any situation. Healing is understanding where it feels best to bring like, you cannot heal something that does not desire to heal. If you try to heal something that doesn't desire to heal, you'll potentially create more hurt because another person will struggle under it. Healing is built and based upon mutual consent on where the work is. And so I keep on seeing a lot of this energy either healing from situations and either saying to themselves as they're moving deeper into connection, that person owes me an apology. Like I see some energy that's starting to build into a space of holding a little bit of force, because I keep on seeing this energy saying that person owes me an apology, or I owe that person an apology. Is the energy going back for one? No, because sometimes when we want that, it's not closure, it's opening. But I feel like this energy being like, what is the energy saying? I delight in the opportunity, should the day come, to be able to have that conversation. Like this is the energy going, I delight for the day I can extend that olive branch. I can tell them where I am, right? It's a lot of that type of energy. And I feel like a lot of that is like looking as to whether it feels like, and this is the energy going, would it be productive? Or would it feel like it's like, like that's the energy, like that's the thing, like I feel like that energy saying no hard feelings, because this is the energy that feels the space that they're in. But it doesn't, I need to point this out, no hard feelings basically means I'm not getting bitter about it, right? It doesn't mean that I'm not bothered by it. No hard feelings means like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like there's the energy that's like when we say no hard feelings, it's just like, I'm like, I understand what occurred, And I need to point out, sometimes when we say no hard feelings, we say it because we're like, there's a conversation that can be had, but if that person's not ready to receive it, I'm not going to provide it, right? Like that's that. Sometimes that's what we mean when we say no hard feelings, right? I feel like a lot of that energy, if someone's coming towards you in a way that doesn't feel energetically correct, you wait for the day that they're able to come into that point of correction. Like I see that energy being like, like better, not bitter kind of thing. Continuing to get clarification between our 9 of Swords in combination with our 10 of Swords and its upright. And this is that, like that's that energy there. Okay, what is it? We've got here the Fool card. Yeah, there's a lot of like, I feel like there's a lot of, I keep on getting, there's a lot of closure that's occurring right now, particularly and especially though in the space of wisdom. Right? And we talk about this. We heal karma. Like karma is not, healing karma does not mean, oh, it's okay, I don't care about anything. What are you talking about? Like that's disassociation, right? Like removing yourself from a situation, like that's not healing karma. That's like checking out, right? Like that's checking out. When we're really in a space of karmically healing something, we understand it. We understand why, right? And that's either the work that we see another with clarity or we see ourselves with clarity, right? And I got to tell you right now, this is sometimes why, like, it's not our job. Like, you don't need to fix everything with everyone, right? Karmically healing is not being on, like, hugging it out with everybody. Like, if you have a recognition point and saying, like, that person hurt me, and I spent years blaming myself for it, right? And now I realize that I don't have to blame myself. That was just a really troubled person that was taking their pain out on me. Boom. Congratulations. You've understood the assignment. You understand the nature of the energetic connection. It hurts still, but it's always going to hurt. It's okay for that to hurt, but now it is healed. it's healed because you have healed the trauma, because you can look at it in a way that you're able to make sense from it. And that's the thing. When we look at things clearly, the energy that's healthy for us, even if it's painful, right? We all carry things that are painful. We start to heal from them when we understand, when we're able to find the sense, when we're able to find the energetic logic as it relates to how another person relates to us, right? And that's why, like, I keep on seeing that some of this energy is, I keep on seeing actually in a space, like, this is the thing, someone coming back to us. And that's why I see something that happened during that full moon in Leo, recognizing the difference between what another person can change versus what you see and say they haven't changed at all. This is the force that feels the sense of being able to heal, because it reaffirms, like, I see a lot of energy going, this just reaffirms my initial choice, right? Like that is that moment that says that arrival point that comes when someone comes back to us in exactly the same place with exactly the same trauma that occurred, the thing in the way, but now we have the clarity of seeing it, right? It doesn't make it better, but it gives us the sense of understanding. Like, I almost feel like a lot of that energy and separation, feeling their higher self, like putting their hand on their shoulder and saying, do you see it now? And I see that energy going, I can see it now, right? Like, I can see what is healing versus what is trauma. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, I just see a lot of this energy. And that's why, like, that's the energy. I feel like that energy, not getting triggered by it, just feeling grief, right? Because when you see that, you grieve, you know? While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is that moment. This is why I feel like this energy saying, I'm taking that desire for apology, or I'm taking the apology I owe someone, and I hear the energy going, I'm putting it on my altar. Like, that's the energy going, I'm putting it on my altar. Why is the energy saying I'm putting it on my altar? Because this is the energy saying, should the day ever come, right? Should the day ever come, should the universe grant me the ability to be face to face with someone, then that is where that moment can occur. But this is the energy saying, I don't need an apology, right? Like, when we're in a healthy space, we go, I don't need an apology. I would like a conversation. It would be nice, but I don't need it, right? It would be nice to have the opportunity, but it's not something I'm going to chase after. Like, that in itself, like, that is the healing that's coming through, because the energy is saying, I have, like, that's the energy going, I understand the apology is the elixir, right? And I'm not going to go running around with it. I'm going to keep it with me. And I hope the day comes, like the journey of Chiron. I hope the day comes that I'm able to bring it forth to that person, or I'm able to have that conversation. I'm not going to make it my mission. I'm taking it with me, you know, continuing to get clarification for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. A lot of this work that we're seeing right now has to do with, I keep on seeing, for masculine and feminine, there's a lot of this work to be said as it relates to not being hard on the self. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, some of this Venus in retrograde, and again with the Mercury in retrograde coming up too, is working through that feeling that when things, like, we have a tendency that when things aren't going well, we want to blame ourselves, right? And the universe says, like, and this is why the universe doesn't want us in a space of saying, like, this is why we can't say, well, when we feel bad, we should act worse, right? Or when we look at something that's coming towards us, because the universe says maybe you're in a bad situation because you're the flashlight, right? Like, when we're in a space that we deeply care about others, it doesn't bring our worst version of self out in those moments. we can almost look at it, those moments of saying like, you know, maybe the reason, like, maybe it's a mess, but maybe that's why you're here, right? You don't like, it's a campsite rule. If you come across a campsite that's littered with garbage, do you throw your can on the ground, or do you grab a bag and start picking things up, right? It's in those moments that we understand who we are. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Swords and our 9 of Cups in its upright. Clarification coming through right now. Yeah, especially, and here we go with that Justice card. And I need to point this out, like, there's something really important that I see as it relates to, you know, and I need to point, like, and this is why, like, there's so much work that's coming through, especially with this alignment point, about the difference when we are in a space of righteousness. We want to teach others lessons. There's nothing more unhealed than feeling like you're righteous. Because when you're righteous, you look around at the world around you and you say, I am right, everyone else is wrong. That's weird. That's wild, right? It's not about being righteous. It's about being happy to be here, right? Like when we're not in a space of righteousness, when we build into that context, we look towards others and we embody the lessons. We don't teach lessons, we embody the lesson. We look at the world around us and say, what can I bring forth that will help? What can I bring forth in this situation that would make it better? Because we can always make it worse, right? And when we look at those spaces, this is why we don't match energy, right? Because if someone else can bring you into your worst version of self simply by being their worst version of self, congratulations. You've just become them, right? Like that. You don't prove anything to anyone by getting down to their level. All you prove to them is that you are effectively them. Like, you just prove to them that you're them, right? Like, congratulations. Like, they just learned the lesson that all they need to do to get you to act the way they want you to is just to mimic the behavior that they want to see in you. That's why it's so ridiculous when someone says, I'm going to match their energy. Like, that's all it takes? Okay. Like, I'm going to give you $1,000. You can give me $1,000? Like, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? We don't change our energetic behavior given what's brought to us. We remember who we are, right? Continuing to get clarification between our 9 of Cups in its upright and our High Priestess in its reversal. And that doesn't mean, like, and this is the thing about it, simultaneously doesn't mean that you have to be an emotional doormat for others, right? I gotta tell you, like, the space of it's not about just giving up. Like, it's not about getting rid of the ego entirely. It's not about saying, oh, I'm nothing, just whatever I need to do, right? You can operate in the space of appreciating and loving the self. And that's the thing you have to remember. And the way you can identify compassion is compassion extends to you too, right? You're over, like, our ability to give or desire to give needs to be mitigated and moderated by the fact that compassion that we extend to others also applies to ourselves. And this is why there's a lot of conversations right now as it relates to the quality of love. The quality of love does not insist on what we want to give to another person. When we say to another person, why won't you let me love you? What we're really saying is, I don't see you. I don't care about what you're saying. I want you to act as a vessel. I want you to act as a mirror. I just want you to be there so I feel good giving you something. The force of love is not what we give. It's active listening. It is observing what another needs and being able to provide that panacea to them, right? And that space, I keep on seeing a lot of this energy working through the context of someone saying, I'm trying to care about you, and saying, but you're not caring about me. Like, if you give me a bowling ball with your name on it, and I don't like to bowl, That's not love. Like that's not like that's not love. That is you giving yourself something under the guise of me, right? That is you giving yourself a little treat, but I am the treat, right? It's not the same thing. And that's why we say the healthy relationship is not about that sense of saying, why won't you take my attention? Why won't you let me have your attention? It is saying, this is what I want to create with you, but also I am mindful as to whether you want the same thing, right? Respectfully. Continuing to get clarification between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Justice card in its upright. Yeah, we've got to talk about the difference between love and captivation. Okay? Captivation is not love. Being enraptured with someone, being like, I just like being around you. You make me feel good. That is looking at someone like they are a treat, right? And when we are careful with each other, when we're being energetically careful, we don't look at each other like we're little treats for one another, right? We are mindful about how another person feels. We communicate what we feel. We communicate what we try to build. We articulate upon the dream that we have with one another, right? And this is what creates a lot of that volatility, because often when someone's trying to come towards us and they're like, I don't really want to tell you what I want with you, but I miss you. I desire you. I want to give myself a little treat that is you. Another person is like, you are draining me, right? In the process, you're not creating something with me. You just want my energy, right? Like that space, it's that moment that we articulate that when we are building together, we say, I'm not expecting something from you. This is what I want to create with you. I would like you to go on that journey together with me. Then it doesn't feel like one that we are draining from one another. It feels like one that we are growing. We are thriving, right? We are adapting. We are evolving. And that can change in a multifarious amount of ways. But the way we find alignment is making sure that we are on the same page. Whatever that is, whatever form that takes is okay, as long as we're in mutual agreement of it. But that's why we have to be very, very wary. And this is coming through very heavily right now as it relates to the messages. The manifestation that you are afraid to say is the manifestation that you need to avoid. If you're trying to manifest something that you feel that you cannot share with another person, then that's your first red flag. If you do not feel that that person that you're building with is on the same page as you, if you're trying to build around them, or if you're in that space, and this is why, and I can see even now for a lot of the energy working on this is why we have to have courage to be able to feel confident in sharing our dreams. Because when we are afraid to reveal what it is we want with the person, I see a lot of this energy in separation, identifying the frustration, right? This has a lot to do with the Scorpio journey. Scorpio shows this to us, right? When someone's holding something in their hand and they're too afraid to reveal it, there's too much of a risk. Because we have those moments, and it sometimes feels like we have those moments that we're building with someone saying, why won't you tell me what you want with me? Is it because you're too afraid to admit your dream? Or is it because something that you want with me you don't think I would agree to? And that's the energy that basically says, like, there's a lot of energy in separation, and this is the thing it says. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter which one it is. The risk is too great. When someone is not in a place that they can articulate upon what it is they want to create with another, this is the energy that says that is not, it's not up to us to have to try to understand the reasons why. It's just recognizing whether someone has done that work or not, right? While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is why I see that energy saying holding apologies, right? This is not energy that is withholding apologies, recognize. This is energy that is putting the apologies on the altar of the self. This is the energy saying, I carry those apologies within me, or I carry the need of an apology within me. If the day ever comes that I see that person, like I see a lot of energy being like, if the day ever comes that I have the opportunity to see that person, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. Or the energy is going, if the day ever comes that I can extend that apology to that person, I will do so, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do so, because I'm mindful of recognizing that often when I try to bring something forth for closure, what I'm really doing is opening something back up again, and that might further wound another, right? While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, this is all that energy. I feel like a lot of this energy being like, I can't find the words, but as long as I don't get frustrated, I go deeper within the self. And I find something there that is new. I find something there that is like the new. I keep on seeing the frustration of language that creates the process of a new thought, right? It's a lot of that. It's a lot. I told you, it's a lot of that force that like yields a diamond, right? Because when we feel frustrated, often is in that moment that we feel most frustrated, that we suddenly land upon an idea. We have that sudden breakthrough. Continuing to have a clarification between our Justice card in combination with our Empress card in its upright. Clarification coming through right now with the Hierophant. These three cards, man, this is beautiful. We've got Justice, Hierophant, and Empress, right? It's a lot of this. I got to tell you, it's a little bit of this energy. It's a little bit of this energy of like, let me cook kind of energy. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of this, I want to say, like there's a lot of this like energy here that I'm seeing deep within divine union. And this is the thing about it. Like, I want you to understand, like this is why the energy deep within divine union is giving each other space. Because sometimes when we see ourselves frustrated and we're working through something, we don't come closer to each other. We like, I want to say, there's a little bit of this energy. I can see a lot of energy right now that's like about to move in towards counterpart, and they walk in and they see something, they go whoop, like they back up, they go, they're cooking, right? They're cooking, like, and when someone's cooking, like that's the thing, like we give them, when we love someone, we give them the space to cook. You know what I mean? Like you're like, right? And that's because it is the nature of our love, that our love is not demanding. It is qualitative and respective in seeing where another is and then like navigating that, right? There's something really beautiful and harmonious in that I'm seeing that's occurring right now for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And I keep on hearing they're cooking. And that's the thing, like they're not avoiding each other. They're seeing one another and going, that person's cooking. I'm going to give them space so that they can cook. While for masculine and feminine energy, it's interesting because this is the energy that's not cooking. This is the energy that says, I can heal. When I heal, it's not that everything's off the hook. It's like I see a lot of that energy saying, when I heal, like that's the thing. Things get more complicated when you heal. Because I feel like that's the breakthrough that a lot of this energy is having, which is like saying to themselves, it's not like I heal and suddenly everything stops feeling. This is the energy that feels the weight of wisdom that I keep on saying. There's a day, like I see this energy that says, I await the potential conversation that I may have when the opportunity presents itself to be able to see someone and explain to them that I understand something, but I'm also okay without it. Right? Like there's a lot, and that's why I said I would not be surprised if there's not a lot of karmic dreams right now happening. Because sometimes when we're in that space, I see this with some of my clients, when we're in that space that someone recognizes that they owe us an apology, but they also don't want to create a wound in the process, sometimes they'll come through in the dream space to try to work something else to communicate and say like, you know, like this is the energetic complication by which I wish I could tell you this, but I also don't want to harm you in the process of telling you something that I want to get off of my chest, right? Like it's often indicative of energy that's healed, that you've got a lot of those, like you've got a lot of those, I keep on hearing like a lot of these apologies sitting on your altar, right? Like a lot of those conversations, you're like, that the day may come or the day may not come. It's okay either way, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Swords and its reversal in combination with the Hierophant. And this is what's so important right now with a lot of the energy in separation, because I'm seeing even now that for the energy in separation, this is the energy that it's not that those apologies are sitting on the shelf. I see a lot of energy recognizing right now in separation, whether something can truly change or the fact that something was never going to change, right? Sometimes when we put distance towards something and it comes back to us, it is that moment that we're able to truly identify whether another person is working on the same assignments, whether they take the same lessons, whether they've been actively working on the same sense of change, or if they're firmly affixed in something that they haven't, like they're going through their own energetic cycles, right? Final card for today's spread. And that's beautiful because I see a lot of the energy in separation that's healing, and they're carrying grief, and they're saying to themselves in that moment, that person, like, and that's the thing I see, like if someone comes back towards us in the place that they left us, right? If there's something that they bring back to us that just reaffirms the fact that something changes, we carry grief for it, right? We hold that, like I see that energy saying, we don't let go of anything. We hope the best for them, but we're not waiting on them, right? Like there's a lot of that energy that recognizes, and this is the thing that's difficult, when we care about something. I see a bunch of energy saying, I care about that person, but I'm not going to live in the limelight of waiting for them to recognize the potentiality of what could come through them, right? Because this is, again, like this is the thing. When we heal and we recognize that another person is not bringing forth something that we feel is necessary in order to move forward, often that healing feels like grief, because you can't force a flower, right? This is the energy that doesn't give up. Like I see that energy saying, I don't give up on anything. I don't give up on anyone. I carry grief if someone can't bring that forth, because I know the day that comes that they might, but I cannot wait forever, because that day could be tomorrow or it could be never, right? And that's why I see that energy saying, this is not, like, we do not find closure. Closure, and this is why, like, remember how I said a lot of the energy deep within divine union was in Gemini and Aries energy? This is the Gemini and Aries energy that's now moving down into the energy in separation, right? This is the energy that says, I'll have constant hope for that person. Even if, like, this is the energy that goes, I hope they find themselves. And, you know, but this is the energy that says, I'm not waiting for them to find themselves to move towards what I know is for me. Right? Like, that's the thing. We can hold, like, I see this energy that's saying almost themselves, I've got nothing but love for them. Right? Like, when you have those moments, like when you're really healed, you look back on someone and you say, like, that, I hope they find it. I hope they heal. I hope the day comes, but I cannot wait. Right? Because healthy energy, healthy relationships are not built upon waiting for another person to change. Right? It's a difference between building with someone that says, I'm doing the same work, be patient with me. Recognizing the fact that we're always moving towards potential, versus someone that says, wait for me to decide that I want that. Right? The healthy energetic connection does not say, you have to be patient with me. Right? This energy doesn't say, wait for me. It says, be patient with me. There's a difference. There's a vital difference. And when we're in that space that we see that we're working through lessons, right? The patience unfolds. We find the patience, because when we're learning, right? When we're learning together, patience becomes infinite. But when we feel that we're learning statically, when we feel like another person is not saying to be patient, like to be patient, is saying just be patient with me. You have to be more patient with me. What they're really saying is, I'm not invested in changing. You just have to find the patience to persevere. I see, like, that's the difference. Like, energy is recognizing the difference between the relationship that allows for that constant unfolding of patience that we have with someone that is building in lessons, versus those relationships that we sometimes built in where someone feels like they say, you failed me because you didn't have the patience to persevere. Like, and that in itself is the misconception, because a healthy relationship never says you need to find the patience to persevere and put up with me. Like, this is the energy. It goes, that's not love, that's captivation. It's like the patience to persevere is not love. Like that is someone looking to be taken care of. Bottom of the deck is with the Knight of Wands. Like don't get it twisted. I just keep on seeing that there's some energy here. It says don't get them confused. And I keep on seeing like, and there's something to be said about like the moment or modality. Like it's like when someone says you just have to learn how to be more patient, they're saying that's the red flag, right? Like they're straight up saying like when someone says you just, you've got a real issue with patience. You need to learn how to be more patient. They're basically saying like that is the caution point to be wary of, because what someone's really saying is, I'm going to like, that is the energy that is building into expectation, saying you just need to find more patience to put up with me. Like that is like, there's energy that will tell another person like your failure point is that you're not finding the patience to put up with my fickleness. Your failure point is not finding like you're disappointing me because you're not having the patience to navigate my fickleness. Like that is the energetic equivalent of, again, like don't get it twisted. We have infinite patience for one another. We find patience. We contain multitudes of patience for energy that is willing to do the work with us, right? When we're cultivating that work, the patience unfolds like a flower, right? But when someone is in a place of refusing to change, they'll often ask for patience. It's not about patience. It's about recognizing that patience, the gift back to patience is progress. The gift back to patience is progress. The way we respect another person's patience is by making progress, right? By putting that work in. And it's not something that that is the difference between intention and expectation, right? And when another person says to us, like, you don't, like, you got, like, I feel like I can see his energy, like, working through that space and, like, someone being patient and being like, you've got to, like, control your anger, like, you've got to stop laying expectations. Like, I see someone trying to articulate to another that asking, like, I keep on hearing, remember, asking the direction that something is going is not a failure point. But for someone that's looking to build more of a relationship based upon captivation, someone will make you feel like you're crazy for asking, that you're ruining it in the process, because you will. Like a relationship built on captivation cannot exist when another person starts looking for direction. And that's when they'll often start to build into the context of trying to misdirect, right? So just be wary of that is what I keep on seeing. Open conversation is key. The communication will tell you all you need as it relates to what can heal and what cannot. And again, a healthy relationship is never harmed by a hard conversation. An unhealthy one will be destroyed by it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Wheel of Fortune. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Justice card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is become a paid subscriber to my Substack. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access as a monthly paid subscriber to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church class library. It's not necessary to catch up for each class. I'll do my best in giving a recap on what we've studied thus far, but the material is there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church library, you'll also have access to you'll also have a discount on the full year's worth of reading classes. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein we will meet personally and I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal pathwork and spiritual journey. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer dream interpretation reading packages now. You can purchase them per dream, or if you purchase the package, I would simply ask that you keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly and or bi-weekly to review the dream journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key messages and meanings coming through in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.